Hey there guys, and welcome back. On this week's show, we're going to be doing some power carving. Well, years and years ago when I did not have a house and I lived in an apartment, I still had to get my fix of woodworking. And what I used to do is use a little sharp knife and I would carve these Santa ornaments. So what we're going to do today is we're going to carve one of these, but we're going to use power carving. And it all starts off with some 3/4 inch thick pine. Well, I have this scrap of pine up in the rack, and this is what I've chosen to make the ornament out of. Now, you don't have to use pine. You can use whatever species you wish. I'm just using it because it's what I have. This piece here is about 12 inches long, which is a little longer than what we need for our project, but I'm going to see how it goes and maybe cut it down later. But for now, I want to rip this into some 1-inch strips. Well, the first thing that we want to come up with is a little bit of layout. And what I want to do is kind of just sketch it out on here just to get a rough idea. I'm going to sort of play this one by ear and see how it goes. So we need his Santa hat at the top, and I think that we're going to say that there's the ball of his Santa hat, and then it comes down, and then there's like a trim area just like this. You can see how technical this is. And then of course there will be his eyes here, and then his nose, and maybe his mouth, and then the bottom of his chin will be here, and then his beard will continue down. And I'm not sure how long we want the beard to come down, maybe down this far. That kind of looks good to me, about that distance. And we just want to transfer these marks now onto the other surface. So here we have his eyes. This is the top of his hat. And that of course will be shaped something like this with the ball on top. And then his Santa hat will come down something like that. For here, we're also going to want a center line just to keep everything lined up. So we'll place one here all the way down, just like that. Now his eyes will be in the middle, and if you don't know, the human face is divided into 5 equal parts across for the eyes. So if you divide this into 5 equal parts, your eyes will be right here on a human with his nose in the middle like that. And then I've got his mouth a little too low, but we're going to put it right in about here. Okay, and then Santa's profile, of course, his eyes will be here, and then this is his nose, I believe. Yes, his nose will come out there, and then his beard will travel out that way. And so at this point, we want to hog out some of the excess material. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to carve this down to a point here. We're going to get rid of this extra piece of wood that's down here. And we're going to start hogging away some of the waist areas of his beard. You might also notice that I'm using my thumb here to brace against the back edge and hold my carving tool in such a way that I'm pulling it like this towards me. Now, this thumb braced here gives you extra control, and it just makes it so that you're not so unsupported when it comes to carving. You don't want to be doing this because you're giving the bit too much of a chance to run away on you. So get your thumb in place there. And also another thing that I normally use, and I'm going to put some on right now, is a little bit of carving tape to protect my thumb should the bit slip. Now I haven't got the dust collection for this set up just so you can hear me talking, and because of that we have all of this dust all over the bench, but I will be getting that set up so that I don't have this. And really you should be having dust collection with any kind of power carving. It just keeps it out of your lungs. Also, get a dust mask on, guys. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to carve out for the face. Now, it's hard to explain how to do this, so we're just going to demonstrate it and I'll show you what I have in mind here. Well, hopefully you can see there that what I've done is I've defined the triangle for his nose, hollowing out the areas that his cheeks and his eye sockets will go. We'll now determine the length of it that we need, and then we will trim it down, remembering that we need some stock there for his beard that will come just underneath his nose. So we'll get that kind of trimmed out as well. We're going to hollow out for the eye sockets here, and we will also start defining the cheekbones in this area. Well, hopefully there you can see that I have his nose now defined, even to the point of using the small pointed diamond bit or the diamond burr to get in there and give him some nostrils. So I'm going to turn my attention now to his cheekbones and shaping around the side of his face. I'm trying to leave as much material as I can here because I want this to be a big bushy beard. I'm already in danger here of losing some of it. So we're going to change our bit to a small ruby carver, and we're going to start defining the cheekbones and continuing the eye sockets around to the side. With his eye sockets and both of his cheeks roughed out, we've started also to do the top of the mustache here just to get some of that excess material. The next thing we're going to do is define his mouth. Now, you just want to be careful of symmetry here. As you can see, I've accidentally got one cheek kind of bigger than the other, and that's because I ran out of material. I will be over time going along and smoothing this and refining it and having them both the same. So I just want to get in here. I'm not going to use the dust collection for just a bit, and I just want to define his mouth. Now, as far as human anatomy goes, the center of the eyes, when you draw a straight line from the center down to the edge of his mouth, they will line up. So from the center of his eye down to the edge of his mouth. And I just kind of eyeballed it, if you will, but that is the proportions to get it a little more lifelike. So from here, we're going to continue on, and I'm going to start hogging out some of the areas for his beard because I want to start shaping that area. I'm going to continue with this. I don't think we need an extensive video. I'm going to go all the way around with this beard because that's what I want to do. And when I get this all roughed out, I'll come back and see you. I'm now going to put in a finer bit into the handle, and I'm just going to smooth out all of these areas on his beard. I've done the smoothing along the beard. For now, we're going to end up doing more there in a bit, but I just want to define his lower lip. I'm going to use a small flame burr here, and we're just going to get inside and shape his lower lip here. Now we defined it earlier, so now we're just going to get in and carve the details of it. So we're just going to get a little more aggressive there. And then once we have that defined, we can shape the bottom lip just carefully here. And once we're happy with the way that his lower lip is defined, we're going to move on to actually texturing his beard. Now I have a small ceramic burr put into the handpiece, and I just want to show you the method of doing the hair. What you want to do is follow the line of the hair and do little strokes like this, touching the board or touching the stock on both the down and the upstroke, and I'll just show you that here. Now you just want a light touch. Now let me just see if I can zoom in on that so you'll get an idea of what we're trying to accomplish here. Can you see the hair patterns here in this section? If you really want to see your patterns, you can use a bright light from one side and it will accentuate the amount of patterning that you have there. Let me just show you that. So we're going to continue using that same method. This time I'll do it with dust collection, and we're going to get the entire beard carved out with hair. Well, I'm now looking to define the area here that is taken up by Santa's hat. So we will mark out where we want the hat to start, and I've just got a Typhoon cylinder burr in here. It may be a little too coarse for what we want, but we're just going to trim along here and bring this down a little bit so that we can get it to the size that we want. Now, I was speaking of symmetry, and somewhere here and somewhere along the line, I've got his eyes all wonky. They're all out of shape here. One is way up here and one is way down here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to even those out and carve his eyes in there and get those cheekbones all defined, including along the side here. The cheekbone will continue along. The facial hair is going to continue here. We're going to try to put some head hair along this area. And then, of course, we're going to repeat the process on the other side, defining all of those areas. His eyes are still a little bit wonky there, but we're going to straighten that out once we start carving. Well, with these Typhoon burrs, if you're finding that you're getting wood shavings caught up in them, you can just use a brass brush and brush it out, and that will bring your burr right back to normal again. So what I'm going to start doing now is shaping the hat, and defining the brim of it, or the fur collar, I guess, that will go right around the hat. Well, as you can see, we're getting more and more details. We're not going to get too crazy on this as far as realism goes. It is a fun Christmas decoration. So really, there's not much left to do with this right now other than go around with some finer bits. We're going to refine the shape. We're going to add a little more hair texture here, possibly a little bit of hair texture to around the rim. I'm not sure if I like this stipple effect or if I want to go for like a fur effect, but I'm not so sure on that. Maybe some fur, I might add that. Either way, we're going to go around and refine this whole thing, and honestly, I don't think we need video of it. You've seen the main process up until now, and I'll see you when I'm done. And there you have it. A Santa icicle ornament. Guys, this project is a great way to get sort of your foot in, or an introduction into the power carving kind of thing. It's not really that difficult, and depending on how much realism you want, it's not really one of those things that is out of people's reach. I mean, mine isn't perfect, but I really like it anyway, so that's half the charm of making something homemade. It's not this commercially perfect item. It has its imperfections, and that's what gives it a lot of its charm. Now, you don't have to use pine. I used it because that's what I had. There are all kinds of woods you could make this from. Basswood, maple, cherry, whatever you like. I mean, it's a small little ornament. Guys, you don't need to have fancy equipment to make this project. You can use a Dremel tool. You can use one of those little small engravers that you find at your local craft store. You can do it by hand. I made many of these over the years that still hang from my tree, and they were made with smaller box cutters and just whittle away. It worked great, and they look fantastic, and to this day they still hang there, and I'm still proud of them. Guys, I know that at some points in time in this video I wasn't using the dust collection, and that was so that you could hear me over the noise of the dust vac and all of that. Please use dust collection and a dust mask. Especially when it comes to power carving, you want to keep dust collection in mind. You may be wondering why this is on Alternative Tuesdays. After all, it is wood carving. Guys, I thought I would put it here as something different, and hope that you're going to join me next week when we will do the painting and the decorating of this ornament to give it the final touches. Guys, this is not a power carving tutorial. In fact, all it is an introduction to the project and showing you the kind of things that you can make. So this is more of a project idea than what it is a tutorial for carving. Maybe down the road I might do a video explaining the basics of power carving so that you can get a little more information and decide if that's the sort of thing that you're interested in getting involved with. Guys, if you haven't already, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Click the bell so that you don't miss the notifications of future shows. I hope you've enjoyed the program, guys. I want to thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you're going to join me again next week when I bring you yet another Alternative Tuesdays.